In this video, I am going to explain how you can use a gathering grid to do some research. A gathering grid is a structure and a strategy for doing research and recording the information that you find while doing research that I took from the book Right on Track, and it's on pages 146 to 148 in that book. I have also taken a brief summary of the process of a gathering grid and included it in a document that is on the internet at this website here, and you will be looking at that in class today as well. So the basic idea of a gathering grid is that when you are researching a topic, you are going to use questions in order to set your mind and your efforts in the direction of gathering the information. And over here, you're going to have several different sources of information about the subject or the topic that you are researching, where you are going to look for the answers to your questions. So if we take as an example the topic of fair trade chocolate, and then we choose to think about the questions, where does chocolate come from, and how is cocoa turned into chocolate, and what are some of the issues for cocoa farmers, what are the advantages for farmers of fair trade chocolate, and any other questions that you might like to generate yourself, then we can use those to structure our process of research. In this case, I am going to use the three sources of information that you have already looked at: the Fair and Square article, the What in the World is Fair Trade Educational Toolkit by La Siembra, which included the split image routine activity with the pictures of cocoa harvesting and the steps in that process, and the Fair Trade Improving Lives video that can be found on YouTube at this address here. So if we look at, as an example, the question, how is cocoa turned into chocolate? And we look in particular at the article in Owl magazine called Fair and Square, then on these pages here, there is a description of a process described as from bean to bar. And it has steps: step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, and step 6. And if you were to read or reread that part of the article, you would see that the steps in harvesting cocoa all the way to taking it to factories in Europe where it is turned into chocolate are described in this article. As well, the split image routine activity, we looked at some pictures that showed the process of harvesting cocoa from the cacao tree where it's in pod form, all the way through the process of the pollinating of the flowers on the tree, to workers or farmers taking the pods off of the tree, opening up the pods in order to get the beans inside the pods, drying them, packaging them or transporting them, drying them in the sun so that they can be ready to be turned into chocolate. How is cocoa turned into chocolate? So you can write down, when you're writing down notes, you don't want to write down complete sentences, but keywords and phrases. So it starts with a cacao tree, and there are pods that are taken off the tree and opened up, and we also learned about some of these things when we were doing the split image routine, so you can put some of the information in this column. The information in the article and in the split image routine, which comes from the What in the World is Fair Trade resource, basically confirms itself. So those are two sources of information that are corresponding with each other, so it shows that there's some trustworthiness to the information there. So the beans need to be dried. If there was any information in the video about how cocoa is turned into chocolate, then you might add that in this column here. So you're looking at the different sources of information to find information that gives you answers to this question over here. You can do the same thing with each of the other questions that you've asked over here. What are some of the issues for cocoa farmers? What are the advantages for farmers of fair trade chocolate? So you can go back to the things that you learned when you were looking at the game. The fair trade cards, they had information on the back. They gave you information about the way things work with fair trade, and there was information on the back of the big profit cards that gave you some information and details about how things work with non-fair trade. And then you also sometimes picked up a clean earth card, a pollution card, a cooperation card, or a conflict card, depending on which group or which kind of partnership you were in, which kind of farming you were doing. And you could take all of the information about advantages for farmers of fair trade chocolate and issues for cocoa farmers, and you could start jotting down the things that you remember from playing that game. And then you could go back to looking at the article, and you could find the information about issues for cocoa farmers that's in the article and advantages for farmers of fair trade chocolate in the article, and you could write those things down here. And then you could re-watch the video, or you could think of the things that you remember from the video, and you could write down the issues for cocoa farmers and the advantages for cocoa farmers that were described in the video. And then over time, as you're looking at different sources and you're considering the different questions, you will start to gather lots of information about the topic that you're researching. As you read and find information out, you might come up with new questions that you could add to the bottom. Can you think of another question? Or you could even start a new page. You don't need to do it on a page like this where it's structured like this. You could create your own page on a piece of lined paper where you just draw the lines to make the grids yourself. And over time, you will collect all the information that you need to be able to create the particular format that you're going to use to share your learning. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoy working on this project.